Tyson Summers finalized the last set of documents provided by John, crucial for John's management of a specific portfolio among the largest under Liam's responsibility. This portfolio included the holdings of Marcus Gray, a billionaire investor and entrepreneur affectionately called Mark Gray. Mark thrived on using his wealth for hostile takeovers, acquiring stocks to gain control. Upon success, Mark's strategy involved rapid divestment to enhance his investment's value and involve other trusting individuals. Damn those who got hurt. Serving as Mark's lawyer and legal adversary, Liam successfully maintained Marcus's honesty and kept him out of trouble with the SEC and other federal regulators scrutinizing individuals like Gray. This allowed Mark to amass more wealth, benefiting Summers, Davis, and Johnson, Inc. John also made strides in managing portfolios for his other clients, aiming to gain full control within the remaining 2 weeks. This would conclude the 3-month process of transferring all of Liam's clients, excluding his special clients. Only John, Amy Davis, and Nathan Johnson were privy to Liam's impending retirement. Liam reminded himself once more that it was time to let go and prioritize personal time. As one of the founding fathers of the firm, along with Amy and Nate, they transformed it from a small storefront law firm into one of Columbus, Ohio's largest and most influential. However, this success took a toll on Liam's personal life, impacting both his marriage to Rachel and their family. Celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary last month, Liam and Rachel had 2 children, 19-year-old Jake and 18-year-old Tessa, both thriving in college. Despite the material comforts, Liam realized that Rachel's disinterest in their love life was a significant issue. While Liam's love-making drive remained active, Rachel attributed her low libido to a temporary phase, promising to discuss it with her doctor during her next checkup, which was almost a year ago. Their love life hadn't improved, and Liam, frustrated, chose to let the matter rest without further discussion. The source of his concern was Rachel's frequent trips back to her hometown of Mansfield, Ohio. She explained it was due to her mother's declining health, and her sister Bianca, who lived there, needed assistance. Both still resided in Mansfield, and Bianca, divorced and alone, benefited from Rachel's stay. During these visits, Rachel felt it was the least she could do to relieve Bianca and allow her some free time. These trips started 6 months ago and now occurred bi-weekly, with Rachel departing on Thursday morning and returning late Sunday night. She maintained communication by calling every evening at 9 a.m., ensuring her cell was always accessible. However, this meant Liam spent 3 or 4 days alone every other week, a situation he now disliked. Rachel left this morning for her latest trip, leaving Liam alone again. Despite his disappointment, he revealed to Rachel that he was working on a big surprise ready in a couple of weeks. He even attempted to pique her interest by mentioning Amy's involvement, hoping her curiosity or even jealousy over Amy would make her stay and find out the secret. Rachel showed minimal curiosity, and Liam, not surprised, let it go and left her to packing. After their usual goodbyes, Liam left for work, knowing she would be gone within the hour. Later that day, Liam closed up his office, chatted with Sarah, his secretary, and walked down the carpeted hall to Amy's office for a conversation before heading home. He knocked once and pushed the door open, a habit accepted by all partners accustomed to his unannounced visits. Liam greeted Amy and suggested they finish work for the day, offering to buy a drink. Amy expressed her reluctance to go home to an empty house. Another colleague, Roger, was waiting for her as they planned to attend their son's school play, where Roger Jr. had the lead role in Pirates of Doom. Liam teased Amy about the play, but acknowledged that parents are naturally biased when it comes to their children's performances. Amy laughed and agreed. At 46, happily married for the past 10 years, she reassured Liam about the progress on the project and declined assistance from John, noting that everything was on track. Concerned about Liam's upcoming retirement, Amy expressed her wish to talk him out of it, emphasizing that he had been the driving force behind the company's success. Liam complimented Amy's contributions and assured her that she, along with Nate and the younger team members, would continue to excel. He praised the younger generation's dedication, particularly mentioning John and expressing the possibility of offering Alice Chambers a partnership in the future. Amy expressed her liking for John and Alice and mentioned that Raj would also attend the upcoming party. Liam welcomed Raj and bid Amy good night, planning to see her the next day. Liam drove to his estate home in the Columbus suburbs, situated on a 5-acre lot and encompassing just over 5,000 square feet. It featured a hot tub flowing into a pool, a cabana, 2 tennis courts, and a spacious garden with flowers and flowering shrubs providing color throughout the summer and into the fall. With the departure of the kids, Rachel had let go of the cook and maid, leaving the house mostly empty. Acknowledging that it was too large for the two of them, Rachel agreed they hadn't committed to it, but suggested it was time to consider moving into something smaller. Maybe they should give it a couple more years, she proposed. Liam parked in the 4-car garage and entered the kitchen, where he placed a frozen dinner in the microwave before changing into casual clothes for the evening. Returning down the steps, he heard the landline ring, hoping it was related to one of his ads, as it was too early for Rachel to call. Answering the call, he was pleased to discuss his boat, a 32 FT-powered sailboat moored at Lake Erie in the summer and fall, winter stored at a facility on the lake. After a fruitful discussion with someone who had taken the boat for a run with the marina owner covering for Liam, the deal was finalized. An agreement was made to send a cashier's check for the agreed-upon price to a post office box number Liam provided. Once the check was received, the title to the boat would be available at the marina. The purchaser had reviewed the title when taking the boat out for a trial run. Everything was in place. Rachel, who had never liked the boat and hadn't been out with Liam in years, would be pleased with the boat sold and his Jaguar and Audi promised to successful high bidders. There was little left to worry about. 2 weeks from today, everything would be in place for his retirement. The house might take time to sell, but by then, Liam and Rachel would be in the smaller bungalow, ready for showings. He had already moved some furniture there, and any additional pieces could be purchased as needed. Liam then reflected on Rachel's family dynamics, noting the dysfunction and his own lack of fondness for her mother and sister Bianca, who had been divorced for cheating. So the rest of my weekend alone continues, Liam thought to himself. To occupy himself, he called the kids, talked with them for an hour or more, reminding them of his summons for them to come down in 2 weeks, and then just let himself go. He fell asleep on the couch and woke during the middle of the night with a stiff neck. He went to bed and slept without dreams. That was unusual, but Liam welcomed it. Lately, his dreams had not been pleasant. The next 2 weeks passed as normal, with Liam working to finish all his cases and make sure John was up to speed on all of them. He spent most of that second week calling his clients and letting them know of his pending retirement. They were, for the most part, happy for him and willing to work with John. A few wanted assurances from either Amy or Nate, and he made sure they were contacted right away. Things were all in place by that final Thursday when Rachel left for Mansfield. Liam had managed to keep his pending retirement secret from Rachel as planned. She rarely asked about his work anymore, so it was not much of a problem. In addition, she had forgotten about the surprise, and Liam didn't bring it up again before she left. He would mention it Sunday morning when she called to tell him she was about to leave, especially if she decided to stay an extra day again. Either way, Liam was prepared. Friday marked Liam's ultimate day filled with bustling activity. Collaborating with Sarah, they cleaned the house and transferred paper files to John. Following a few more phone calls, Liam instructed Sarah to shift all his new calls to John, aligning with his plan. Having assigned John his secretary, Sarah had experience working with her. Liam's last morning task was telling Amy to set things in motion, and she affirmed readiness. Though she left for the courthouse later that morning, Amy promised to return in time for the retirement party at the Ricin Hotel. Despite everyone knowing Rachel couldn't attend, it didn't delay the proceedings, promising an enjoyable time. Liam left immediately after lunch to address several necessary tasks, and by 3:00 that afternoon, everything was in place. The final papers for the house were signed, and movers were already on their way, committed to finishing by late Saturday afternoon. Once the movers finished, the crew Liam hired to clean the place thoroughly would arrive with orders to complete the task by that evening. They were promised a bonus if they finished on time. Realtors assured Liam that the for sale sign would be in the front yard by late tomorrow, revealing a listing of interested parties who wished to view the property starting the following Monday. To their satisfaction, Liam had competitively priced it for a quick sale. The last task for Liam was ensuring that all financial arrangements were in place. Rachel and he had two separate accounts aside from the joint ones, each with their credit card. It was Liam's insistence that they carried only one card each, disapproving of running a credit balance. Rachel, adept at financial management, was never frivolous with money. She skillfully managed their accounts, aware of Liam's private business accounts managed by his company. Unaware of Liam's accounts at the firm, Rachel, over the years, had neither inquired nor remembered. Retiring, Liam closed all joint accounts carrying both their names, transferring the retirement account to a new brokerage. Liam intended to manage all their joint affairs in cash temporarily, or at least until they had settled on everything. Since the new home would be located outside the States, Liam moved the accounts beyond the U.S., having already opened an online account with an international bank with outlets in Europe and South America. Liam was confident that Rachel would easily adapt to the change, as she was very intelligent about money matters. Finally, Liam confirmed that the tickets were in hand, contemplating spending the next several months with Rachel in a beautiful Costa Rican resort. Sun, sand, swimming, sailing, horseback riding, they had it all. Liam, having made a solo trip to the resort to confirm its authenticity, instructed Sarah to book the trip and make the reservations, desiring everything to be confirmed by the time of his retirement. Liam was quite prosperous, accumulating substantial wealth from handling high-profile cases for affluent clients, charging accordingly. His clients, recognizing his expertise, retained him with substantial retainers. Liam invested his earnings in high-risk accounts, yielding significant returns over the years. As a lawyer, he leveraged his legal knowledge to move most of his money into offshore accounts legally, without any agreements with the U.S. These accounts remained intact, unbeknownst to Rachel, adding an element of surprise. If she were aware, she would be astonished at their value. Importantly, this money was outside the States, not subject to U.S. tax laws or the U.S. courts. Liam ensured everyone in the firm kept it quiet. Despite Rachel suggesting retirement, it had been dropped over the past year. Liam believed his retirement would please her, given her complaints about the time he spent at work. He informed everyone that it would be a surprise for Rachel, with plans to announce everything on Sunday night when she returned. Liam was confident she would be home Sunday, intending to initiate the surprise during her morning call. So far, everything had gone perfectly. The party was enjoyable, with Liam dancing with all the women and talking to all the men, sharing war stories of their most interesting cases. John spent most of his time around Liam, ensuring nothing important escaped his notice. Liam thought highly of John, seeing him as a valuable asset to the firm. Amy and Nate, privy to all his plans, were sworn to secrecy as his attorneys. Amy subtly expressed pleasure in what he was doing. Liam danced with her, discussing the final steps. Amy assured Liam that everything was ready for the surprise, documenting checks and amounts to ensure Rachel's surprise and Liam's satisfaction. Liam expressed confidence in Rachel enjoying the surprise, and Amy sarcastically whispered her agreement. Liam laughed and shared that he had tickets for a Costa Rica resort with plans to leave Sunday night. He promised to call her with a permanent number, but mentioned that his new cell would be active in the meantime. He suggested Roger and Amy do something similar. Amy replied that she enjoyed what she was doing too much to quit at the moment. Liam encouraged her to tell Nate that he was sorry for not including him in all their plans. Liam stayed at the party until almost midnight. Before leaving, he missed Rachel's call but found a voicemail. Rachel informed Liam that she was going to her mom's that night, asking him not to call her there to avoid waking her mother. She explained that her mother was tired all the time and needed rest. Rachel promised to call the next night and asked Liam to be home. She bid him good night. As Liam expected, she wouldn't call tonight after leaving her message. He spent the evening packing his clothes and ensuring Rachel's belongings were neatly packed. With limited time before Sunday night, Liam aimed to avoid return trips after the movers finished tomorrow. Careful and methodical, he packed her things, ensuring a smooth process without room for complaints. He planned to stay at the bungalow tonight and ensure all calls were forwarded to his new cell starting tomorrow. Once he had transferred everything to the bungalow, Liam wrapped up his tasks, made a phone call to confirm the last piece of the surprise was in place, and then went to bed, pleasantly tired from the party and on edge. He hoped nothing would go wrong as he fell asleep. Saturday marked the packing and moving of the furniture from their home. Though somewhat sad, Liam shrugged his shoulders and left the movers to their work. He was going back to the bungalow to meet their kids, arriving right around noon. Liam needed to go over his plans with them to avoid surprising them too much. He had given them a hint of his retirement, but withheld details about Costa Rica or anything else. Now was the time to bring them up to date. He had to extract promises from them not to call Rachel and spoil his surprise, thinking they would be okay with that. When they arrived, he welcomed them inside, sat them down to begin filling them in, making it short and to the point. He answered all their questions and gave details when they asked for them. Neither Jake nor Tessa was happy with what he was doing, but he assured them that their college tuition was taken care of and that they would always be welcome home, wherever that was. He reassured them that his retirement was something both he and Rachel had discussed and agreed upon as the right time. They wanted to talk to Rachel, but he made them promise to wait until Sunday night when she got home. They finally agreed. They all went out to dinner that evening and kept quiet when Liam answered the 9,000 call from Rachel. She kept it short as usual, but didn't mention staying any longer, so he still expected her Sunday night. After the call, the kids once again discussed his plans, wanting to be sure he still wanted to proceed. Liam assured them he was fine. When they went to sleep in the spare room with twin beds, he made a phone call to confirm the movers were done and the cleaning crew was scheduled. Both were affirmative, and Liam was pleased. One final call, and he was done for the night. Sunday was a day when little had to be done, and most everything was ready. He checked the house and found all in place. The movers and cleaners had left the place spotless and ready to show. He drove back to the bungalow and waited for the call from Rachel telling him she was ready to leave. He expected her to call at her normal time between 10 and 10:30. The kids had gone out to be with some of their friends from home, so Liam was alone when she called. He answered after the first ring. Liam nervously asked Rachel if she was ready to start for home. She responded that she was just beginning and explained that she would like to stay a few more days to give her sister Bianca more time to do some things. Rachel's voice was strained, as if she expected Liam to object, well aware that he would not like her request. Liam heard the words and, for the first time, felt the anger that he had been holding in check for the past several months, struggling to break free. She wanted to stay a few days longer. Why? Well, he knew now, didn't he? He had known for over 3 months now, long enough to begin planning his surprise. Now was the time to bring his surprise to the front. Now it was time to do what he had planned for the past 3 months once he found out for sure. Now it was time. As he reached this decision, Liam's anger finally surfaced, having kept it in check for so long. With the anger making it difficult to speak without shouting, he responded to Rachel's request by expressing that he wouldn't mind her spending a few more nights, sarcastically referring to her lover Kevin. Liam confronted her about her involvement with both Kevin and another man, Ben, stating that it bothered him. His voice rose in anger, and he struggled to restrain himself from screaming at her. Liam accused her of carrying on these relationships for the past 6 months or longer, expressing his frustration at having to pretend it was nothing. Silence followed from the other end, broken only by a sob, and then the phone went dead. Liam stared at the phone in his hand as if it were a snake about to strike. He realized that Rachel had hung up, and that was an unexpected surprise. He finally placed the offending instrument on the table, his hand trembling with remaining anger. She hung up, and he had no outlet for his pent-up anger. As Liam slumped into the chair beside the table, his phone rang sharply. He stared at it uncomprehendingly as the sound reverberated from the walls. The disposable phone he had purchased for this purpose continued to ring, not having voicemail. Finally, picking it up, he pushed the talk button. Yes, was all he could get out. His anger had burned out with the sudden end of it all. He had been primed for an argument or a shouting match, a screaming match between the cheating wife and her scorned husband. Her abrupt termination caught him by surprise and extinguished his anger like a bucket of water on a flame. Now he was numb, dead inside, and numb with the pain he had been holding back with his plan of action. Without the cathartic outlet for his anger and hurt, he was suddenly helpless to stop the piercing pain that clutched at his heart. Bianca's angry voice came through the tiny speaker, urging Liam not to hang up and expressing concern for Rachel, who was described as a wreck and almost hysterical. She questioned Liam about what he had said to Rachel and what he had done to cause her extreme reaction. Liam redirected his anger towards Bianca, viewing her as a full partner in Rachel's betrayal and as guilty as his cheating wife. He sarcastically informed Bianca that he had simply told Rachel to stay as long as she liked to spend extra time with her lover, Kevin Clark. Liam accused both Bianca and Rachel of being involved with Ben Stinson and Kevin, detailing their rendezvous at a motel. He expressed anger, stopping himself from screaming at Bianca, and dismissed her plea for him to let Rachel explain. Bianca tried to defend Rachel, insisting it wasn't what Liam thought and describing the situation as a stupid mistake for which she was equally at fault. She pleaded with Liam not to do anything drastic and urged him to wait until Rachel could talk to him. Liam, however, remained adamant, revealing that someone would be there when Rachel arrived, but it wouldn't be him. He accused Rachel of discarding their marriage and stated that she wanted to continue the affair with Kevin. Despite Bianca's pleas, Liam informed her that he had already told their children about the situation, including the weekends when Rachel claimed to be taking care of her mother. Liam asserted that the children had taken the news surprisingly well. In response to Bianca's desperate appeal for hope and reconsideration, Liam reiterated that it was Rachel and Bianca who had discarded their family. Liam bid goodbye to Bianca and mentioned saying goodbye to her mother, noting that she never liked him and now she must be laughing her skinny buns off. Liam disconnected, then looked around the small bungalow for the last time. Rachel will love it, he thought to himself. Then he laughed at the thought. He turned off all the lights, put the spare keys on the table along with a letter to Rachel, and went out the front door. He pulled the door shut, got into his rental car, and drove to Sarah's apartment. She was waiting in front of the building for him. As he pulled up, he got out, loaded her 3 suitcases into the back of the car, and then held the door as she climbed in. She smiled up at him as he shut the car door. He walked around to the driver's side and slid in. Sarah expressed her readiness for the situation, mentioning the challenge of seeing him every day at the firm without being able to touch or talk to him. She credited Rachel for throwing Liam away, allowing her to snap him up and enjoy their weekends together. 100 miles later, I asked the question Liam would ask. Why didn't any of that lust carry over? Why had we not made love in those 6 months since I had begun my affair? That was a question I had no answer for. I had to think of one. I had to think. I was still trying to find the words to answer that question when I pulled into the driveway of our home. I was surprised to see 4 cars sitting in our driveway. I recognized the 2 cars belonging to my children, and I was surprised to see them there. But almost as quickly, a feeling of dread crept over me at their presence. I drove around them onto the grass and slid to a stop and clambered out of my car to run toward the house. As I did, I saw someone get out of one of the strange cars and move to intercept me at the front door. I ignored this man and reached for my keys. He tried to stop me, but I pushed him aside and slid my key into the lock. It didn't work. I tried again, over and over, but it wouldn't work. I threw it on the porch and held my face in my hands and began crying. I turned to the door and began pounding on it with my fists. I pounded until the pain in my hands forced me to stop. I looked around to see the man who got out of the car still standing there. He asked me if I was Mrs. Liam Summers, and I nodded my head yes. He handed me an envelope and said in a low voice, "You are served, madam." He then took another smaller envelope and handed that to me. "These are the keys to your new residence. The address is inside, and the property is yours without burden. You will find the deed and the necessary information inside." I took both envelopes and just stared at him, my mind numb with sadness and pain. He reached into his coat pocket and handed me a legal-sized white envelope. This contains several checks amounting to the current savings and checking accounts, which have been closed. This house has been listed for sale, and the proceeds will go to you once the sale is completed. All of this is included in the divorce statements, and the terms are spelled out very clearly. The man closed his briefcase and prepared to leave. He reached into his jacket pocket and produced a business card. "In case you have forgotten, this is the name of your husband's attorney." He moved away and got into his car. He spoke to the person sitting in the other car I didn't recognize before backing out and leaving. I was stunned, holding the envelopes that the man had given me. I glanced down at the business card and saw that it was Amy Davis. That name caused a bolt of anger to course down my back, but it quickly died. Amy was a problem only in my own head. I knew that, but I had used it over the years as a wedge to make Liam feel guilty. Now I knew better, but it didn't help to look up and see her walking toward me. "Hello, Rachel. You're not looking so well today. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Liam asked me to handle things in his absence. In case you're wondering and have lots of questions, I can give you some answers. First, Liam retired effective Friday. We all had a party for him. It was a great party, and lots of people came to see him off. Too bad you missed it, but then you had other things more important, didn't you? Second, this house has been turned over to a realtor for sale. You signed your name to a power of attorney some time ago, and Liam used it to transfer the title into his name. But don't worry, the proceeds are all for you. Liam left it to you in the divorce. He also bought you a nice bungalow, paid for and furnished. Your children can take you there. Finally, Liam gave me full power to act on his behalf in the divorce and all his affairs here in the States. Liam has left the country, and I believe it is his intention not to return for some time." She stood there watching me as I digested the things she told me. It was as if each was a hammer that pounded the stake in my heart deeper and deeper. I was almost gasping for breath at the suddenness with which my life had collapsed in on me. I opened my mouth to ask questions, but nothing came out. I realized that I was smacked by a man whom I had blindly betrayed and disrespected so easily, a man that I knew in my heart was the only man I could ever love. Now I had lost his love, and I had no idea what to do. Suddenly, I was more alone than I had been over the last 20 years. I had my children and my life, but my anchor to all I cared about in this world had left me. I had never felt so alone in my life. I can't know why you did this to Liam, Rachel. I know from working with him for the last 15 years that he loved you and his children more than anything in this life. When he found out what you were doing, it almost killed him. Roger and I helped him through the crisis he was in and made sure he stayed calm enough to make plans to deal with you. We made sure he didn't do anything foolish. Just so you know, he considered self-harm, but we talked him out of it by reminding him of your children. He's with someone else now. That also helped him through the crisis you caused by your actions. It's not important who she is, just that she is with him and will care for him as this slowly runs its course. Liam will not agree to talk to you, and he doesn't care if you fight the divorce. That will be in my hands, not his, so do what you will. Just know that Liam is out of your life and will never be back." She turned and walked back to her car without looking back. She got into the passenger side of the car and left. I walked slowly down the drive to my children, who were standing together beside the cars. I had to face them and listen to their anger and condemnation, but I really didn't care anymore. I had betrayed my husband, their father, and I had lost him, and nothing else mattered. Their anger at me would not make any difference. Nothing they could say or do could hurt any more than the words I heard from Liam just that morning. God, how they hurt, and all he did was state the truth as he saw it. As I stopped in front of Jake and Tessa, my grief brought me to my knees. Jake reached down and helped me to stand, but there was no concern on his face. As I looked at him, I saw anger, disgust, and disappointment, but no concern. That was painful to me, and I began to sob. Instead of holding me, my daughter stood in front of me with her arms crossed over her chest and her face mirroring that of her brother. I had told myself that I couldn't hurt any worse after losing Liam and my marriage, but the looks on the faces of my children told me in no uncertain terms exactly how they saw what I did, and it was even worse. I cried for what I had lost as my children stood by and waited. They offered no comfort. I had lost them as well. I turned and looked once more at the home Liam and I had purchased to build our family. I loved that house and had always felt pride when I came home. Now it was gone. Everything was gone: my husband, my marriage, the love of my children, and the home we shared. What have I done? Why did I never think of the consequences of my actions? Why had I never considered that? I knew now. Consequences are a weight I will carry forever. Well, folks, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I enjoyed making it. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment below with your thoughts and tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them. Cheers, and see you in the next one.